to be the same as our game over, because that would be if we some of our... Now, we just need to add a few more UI elements to our game. So we've made it so we can restart our game, but we want to be able to set the difficulty for our players. To do that, we'll actually just duplicate some of our text and our buttons, so our game over text, since our title will be in the same place. If we select our game over text and duplicate with Control D, we have game over text again. We'll set this to active, and I'm going to rename the text to be our title text. And then we don't want our text to be the same as our game over, because that would be really confusing. So what we'll do is we'll change our text and we'll come up with a clever title. So I'm gonna call this Clicky Crates. Now I don't want it to be red, so I'm going to change that and we'll make it the exact opposite color. So that'll be, let's see, maybe a greenish, maybe a bluish. Ooh, I like that blue. That one looks good. Maybe a little darker. There you go. Cool. So now we have our Clicky Crates. Now what we also need to do is make some more buttons. So we'll actually take our restart button and we'll duplicate this. And we'll set this back to active so we can see it. Now our restart button, this one will be our easy button, because we definitely want to start easy first. And then we go into our easy button by expanding. We'll change our text because we want to make sure that we know it's easy mode. Easy. Now our button is definitely a little bit too large, so we'll actually change the width to make it a bit smaller. So we'll make it something like, yeah, something like that. Like this is a nice round number so it's easier. So 115, cool. And then we'll reposition this, so let's see if I move it not on the Y. In fact, I want it to move on the X. So we move easy over to about there. Cool. And then let's see, so we want to do the same thing. We'll make a medium difficulty button, so we'll duplicate that. That time I just right click duplicated. Call this medium button. We want to rechange the text back to medium this time. Now the problem here is our button is actually on top of our easy button, so we can't actually see that. So let's see. Let's put this. What happens if we put it to 0? Okay, button's a little tight. Let's see if we change the width maybe to 100. Okay, that fits pretty well. Change our easy button back to 100. Have some nice symmetry. And then our medium button will do the same thing. We'll Control D, Command D to duplicate. So this will be our hard button for hard mode. And then, let's see, our easy button was about negative 115. So to get some good symmetry going, we'll make this position 115. Cool. Now it's all even. And then last but not least, we change the text on our hard button to be hard. And now we have a hard mode. So now it makes it a lot easier for the players to see what buttons to press. They don't really do anything right now, but it certainly looks really good. So what you're going to do is you're a little bit too large, so we'll actually change the width to make it a bit smaller. we'll make it something like, yeah, something like that. We'll make this a nice round number so it's easier. So 115. Now we've added all of our buttons and our title text to our game, but these buttons don't actually do anything, so we'll need to create a script to do so. One thing that we're going to do is just some cleanup. So in fact, because we copied that restart button and duplicated it, if you go to the on click, if you select one of the buttons in the inspector and scroll down, you can actually see that it's still tied to the restart game, and we don't want these buttons to just be restarting the game all the time. So actually, in on-click, you can see the little minus button, and if you just click that, it'll remove that game manager. So, you go through each of the different buttons, remove those, so now we can't just magically restart our game. Definitely don't want that to happen. Now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to make a new script now. So, in our scripts folder, we right-click, create a script. And this script will be called difficulty button, to control the difficulty when we use our buttons. So we have that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually select all of our different buttons, our easy, our medium, and our hard button. And we're going to scroll all the way down. Now I'm going to add a component, and we're going to actually search for that difficulty button script. There you go. Now the difficulty button has been added, and we can actually check each one. 1, 2, 3 scripts. Perfect. Now in our difficulty button script, in order to interact with those buttons again, we need to make sure that we use that library that we had before. Very handy. So Unity engine.ui, because the UI library helps us interact with buttons. So now we need to get references to our buttons. So we'll make it private, and we'll just call it button, and we'll name it button because we're getting this button. So, and then in our start method, we're just going to make sure that we get the actual button component on our button. So we use our button variable, and we get the component, and we're looking for the component called a button. And then make sure you add parentheses. So now we've attached these scripts onto each of our different buttons, and we're making sure that we get that button component from our button so we can get a reference to it in our difficulty script. So what you're going to do is in each of your buttons, make